Okay, I have to share something today that happened that was absolutely amazing. So every week on Mondays and Fridays, I go out and do street ministry with brothers and sisters in my church and also from other churches. And it has been absolutely amazing and so fruitful. And God is just leading us, and His Spirit is taking over and doing awesome things in this city and across the country, and I believe across the world as well. And so we're praying for more and more of an outpouring of His Spirit and more of His Holy Spirit to spread, His fire to spread across the land. So today, me and a brother went out to do ministry. He brought his son, and then a couple other people that had not been out with us before came with us today. It was so amazing. So we're going downtown, and I was feeling like we need to go this one direction. But I didn't speak up, and my friend said, hey, like he asked one of the other guys, hey, what way do you think that we should go? And he said, well, I feel we should go down this way, opposite of where I was feeling. Totally fine. There's the same Spirit working in each of us, and we work together as a body. And so I'm like, well, maybe there's something, down this way. So we go down, and sure enough, there's this building with a bunch of people out front, and they look like fairly unhappy people, which, it's sad. But there's flags hanging above this building, like above the porch area of this brick building. And it's like a rainbow flag and a Black Lives Matter flag. And I was like, I don't know, like I wasn't feeling called to speak to them, but I was like, well, who would you even speak to first? There's like, I think about like 15-ish people, just throwing a number out, but there was a good few handfuls of people out there. And I'm like, who would I even talk to first? And I wasn't feeling towards anybody. And in my spirit, like I just had these words in my spirit, that's a den of wolves. And I felt like, oof, I don't want to go up there. Like, this is just not a good situation. I didn't feel called to that one. But my friend Robbie goes up, and he asked boldly if we could pray for them, and everybody just ignored us. They were like all looking away. Somebody unlocked the door, and they were going in, and they did not want to make eye contact at all. But one lady said some snide remark, and I didn't really hear exactly what she's saying, but she's like, oh, you could pray for my, and she said something pointing to something on her hat. But I knew it wasn't something peaceful. She was not being nice or happy at all. So then we're like, well, maybe we should be praying for this building. And we walked down, there's a Masonic temple there, so we prayed over that as well. And a couple of the guys were talking about what the Bible verse on the Bible app was for today. And I hadn't looked at it, and they're like, this is it. And they're reading it, and it's saying, I send you out as sheep among wolves. I was like, no way. That's so crazy, because I was just over there, and I was telling him, like, when I was looking at those people, I was just like, I said in my spirit, or like maybe the Lord was speaking in my spirit, but he said, the voice was just like, that's a den of wolves. And so that's why I did not feel called to go. I did not feel called to go to those people for some reason. It just didn't seem right for me at the moment. But it was so crazy. I'm like, God confirms, like, speaking, saying that's a den of wolves. And then that was also the Bible verse for the day, and I didn't know that, and that was amazing. He sends us out as sheep among wolves, and that's literally what it's like sometimes. So then I was like, let's go down this way, a couple more blocks, and then maybe we can go back the other way. So we did, and we decided to split into two groups. And as we were going back, I was going with a guy that was in my group, and we were walking down the road, and I kept looking across the street, and I'm like, I feel like we really need to be over there on that side. I didn't know why, but God knows. And he leads if you can listen to his spirit and be led by his spirit. So we go across the street, and we walk down, and right as we're coming across this one street, a homeless guy, walks from next to this building out to the street corner, and he just stops there. Like, he looks like he was about to cross the intersection, but he just stopped right at the edge of the sidewalk, and his eyes are like closed, and he's all hunched forward, and his knees are really bent, so he's like making this whole like S shape, like his head's like this, his back's like this, and his knees and legs come like that. It was so weird. And he's just stopped like that, and he's not moving. And I just instantly, I went straight to him. Like, me and And my friend, we were talking, but as soon as I saw this guy, I went straight, just walked straight towards him. I'm like, hey brother, can I pray for you? And he was just like kind of rolling his eyes and like opening them just like a slit, and he was like kind of mumbling. He had like a mask on his face. He's kind of mumbling. It was like, yeah. I was like, well, let's go across or over here, away from the sidewalk, away from the street, and pray for you. And we were praying and praying, and I was like, and just trying to break off every chain, every darkness, every stronghold the enemy had on him. And I felt like there was pain like in his head or his neck. So I was like, do you have pain in your head? And he said no. And it's like, well, where's the pain? And he said, in my back and my neck. It's like, all right, I knew it. So we're praying and praying for that. And as we're praying for these things, I saw in the reflection of the glass on the building behind us, or like next to us, I'm watching his body straighten up. And he starts standing taller and taller and taller. He was like hunched way down, and he starts standing taller and taller and taller. I'm like, yes, Lord, more, Lord, more. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And his eyes were like closed the whole time. And every once in a while, they'd open just a little sliver, and they'd be like rolled back. And my friend was like, it's heroin. Like, he's on heroin. And I was like, Lord, we're not giving up. We're not giving up, Lord. It's like Jesus paid with his blood for this man's sin. Like, this is his son. Like, this is your son, Lord. Call him back home. We just kept praying these things. And then I had to call my friend, my other friend from the other, because we split up. I was like, hey, we need you guys over here. Get back here and come pray with us. And so they were actually buying a sandwich for another guy downtown. And then they came across. And while we were waiting for them, I was like, this guy has to want this. He has to want to be set free. So I asked him, I was like, do you want to be set free? And he nodded yes. And I was like, do you want Jesus? And he nodded yes. And I'm like, okay, I need you to pray this with me. And so I was praying and having him pray, and asking Jesus to come in and just take over his life, and just come into his life and forgive him, and just all these things. And so he's mumbling. He could not speak clearly. He was mumbling words quietly, very quietly, with his eyes like closed and then open a little bit and rolling, closed and then like rolling and stuff. And so we're praying some more, and then I was like, I need to pray about the addiction. So I was praying about it, and I was like, do you want to be set free from the addiction? And he was like, yes. Like, he was nodding his head yes. And so we prayed about that. And then our other friends came over, and they're praying also. And this is why we work together in a body. Because sometimes one person doesn't think of something, and the Holy Spirit gives somebody else something. And so one of my friends was like, you want to be set free from the drugs? And the guy was like nodding yes. He was like, hey, do you have any drugs on you right now? And he nodded yes. It's like, you need to throw them all away right now. There was a garbage can right next to us. And so then he's like reaching in all of his pockets and throwing them away. And he's reaching in all of his pant pockets, and he's throwing away all of his drugs. And as he's doing this, his eyes are opening more and more. I kid you not. I kid you not. His eyes, he was looking at us and talking loud and coherently. He was standing upright. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so we were praying for him a little bit more. And then and we'd given him some granola bars. And then my friend was like, hey, are you hungry? And he's like, yeah. He's like, when's the last time you ate? He's like, well, I'm about to eat here in a minute. The granola bars you guys gave me. And we're like, well, let's go get you some food. So we went across the street. And I'm watching as he's stepping off this curb. And I'm like thinking, when he was first walking, he was slouched, like slunched down. And his feet were kind of shuffling. And so I was kind of nervous. And I'm like, well, he's still on drugs and everything. And it's kind of nervous, like, watch your step. I told him, like, watch your step. Careful, as he's stepping off the sidewalk, and I was watching his feet. And he just stepped clean straight off that sidewalk. And he's walking upright across the street. And I'm like, what in the world? Like, he looks completely different than he did a few minutes back. He's walking upright. He walked ahead of me, and he grabbed the door, and he's holding the door open for us. I was like, thank you. So he's sitting there holding the door open for us and stuff. And we go in, and there's some steps up. And I'm watching him. He's just going right up the steps. I'm like, what in the world is happening? So then we went in, and my friend bought him a sandwich and got him a drink. And we were talking. And he got his phone number and stuff. And wow, God is so good. God is so good. Does not matter how low you are in your deepest, darkest points in life. God can reach you in the absolute darkest of times, and he can pull you out of them. So I pray blessings on our friend today, and I pray blessings on you. And no matter where you are in your life, you're not too far gone. You're not too far and out of reach of God. He can get you no matter where you are.